Okay, it says that we're live. Again. So hopefully we are. Let us know in the chat. Thanks to all 11, 12 of you guys for being on. It worked.
All right.
I am so sorry, everybody. We are so embarrassed. And thank you guys for staying on. It took us literally probably 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was super embarrassing because all of a sudden I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, wait, we're not. Oh God, no. And we've been talking for way too long.
Yeah, so we have no idea where it even cut out.
We went down like a rabbit hole where. So sorry, guys.
Yeah, so apologies to everybody. But we do still have the old chat up on our computer. So we can just really quickly kind of go through
couple of things.
A few things that was being talked about before, and then jump into the new chat with you guys. So bear with us. We're on it. We're all in this together. Okay. So I know that we had talked, I think we were probably not live at that point, but we had talked about how Thomas Reiser was saying that the commute from Chicago to he used to commute from Chicago to Champaign, which is insane.
Yeah,
that's like a 2-hour-long commute. That's a long one. So hopefully you're not doing that anymore. And then JNN Travels was saying that they're trying to do some live streams. It'll take them a little while to get rid of the nerves. And then welcome Alan A. It's okay.
Thanks for texting us.
Yeah,
that
thanks
helps.
for texting us that, especially that we weren't live anymore. But we just saw that you even joined the chat at that point. So we'll try to catch up really quickly. And then Gallivanting Gal said, well, that wouldn't be a stretch to drink out of a carafe, kind of like doing a keg stand, right? And then Megan's like, or a beer funnel. Totally.
And Gallivanting Gal says it doesn't matter how you drink it, as long as you consume it.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so Mark was saying about the reversible quarter zips that it kind of depends on how much you spill on it and if it goes through to the reverse side.
It's true.
That would be bad.
Yeah, that is true.
And Mark had a question about whether or not I go to the bathroom with my shoes off on airplanes, and the answer is, oh, hell no.
No.
That's
Please,
gross.
Nobody ever do that.
I would never do that. I always have my shoes just ready to be slipped on, run to the restroom, and come back. That's gross.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's confirmed. We do not do that.
And Rachel's saying, you did that in D.C. for your bachelorette party.
The long-spouted
wine pitcher.
Not going to the bathroom with my shoes off.
Yeah, don't do that.
To be very clear.
Not at bars.
Yeah. But yes, I did. That's that. So...
all right, and now we're up to
speed
here, and
yeah.
we can move over to the actual
Thanks
new
for
chat.
With us over there, guys.
So we appreciate it. 16 people are on now, so
love to
roll
all.
call on
Thank
who
you.
all's still here. We've got Katie Smith, Eric Brown, Gallivanting Gals,
yeah.
Ryan Donahue, Karen Mack, Alan A, Thomas Reiser, Lori Sims. Thank you, everybody. Bonnie Schnee. Thank you, everybody, for coming back. We really appreciate it. I will keep an eye on my stream here on the left-hand side to make sure that doesn't happen to us again.
Yeah, because it's weird. The internet didn't cut out, to our knowledge, so we're not sure what happened at all.
Yeah, it still said we were live, so it was really kind of a bizarre thing to have happened.
Yeah.
But Bonnie does say that it gave her time to wash the buttery popcorn off of her hands.
Anything that we can do to help, really.
Then
Bonnie.
feel the shame of eating a whole bowl of popcorn and refill my buttery Chardonnay.
There you go.
And she says, JK, I'm drinking Vouvray.
Oh, Bonnie.
Good job, Bonnie. Vouvray is delicious. The Loire Valley produces some phenomenal wines.
Yeah, we drank Vouvray in one of these live chats.
Yeah.
It was delicious. You can also get Vouvray at Binny's. I feel like we should somehow be sponsored by Binny's at this point. Thomas is saying that when he commuted from Champaign to Chicago, he did it most Friday night, south, north, Sunday, north for years. So you had a few overnights then. I think I'm reading that right. Which would help, like, because doing that every day would just be crazy town. And thank you, Lori, for giving this new one a thumbs up too. That is so sweet. I guess this is kind of gonna be like posted twice on my channel. Like, there's gonna be the first one and then part 2.
Part 1, part 2.
So I'll try to rename them part 1, part 2, I guess.
Yeah.
And Thomas said he changed over a load of laundry. Guys, we're here to help. Really, everyone.
Really,
it was
intermission.
Intermission. We can start to have intermission as needed.
Gallivanting Gals is saying, not gonna lie, I felt bad for you, but also a little happy that we're not the only ones who have technical issues.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Schadenfreude.
Hey, Visos Travel, welcome.
Yeah, hey, Visos, you missed our glitch.
Yeah, unless he's been on this.
Unless you've been on this whole time.
Yeah. But thanks to everybody. Really, I mean, we're seeing that there's 18 people on here and 5 likes, and.
Thank you so much.
That's
we
amazing.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for bearing with us through that technical glitch. Hopefully that never happens again. And if it does, hopefully we will be definitely paying attention more.
Yeah, so I feel like we had a pretty good chat going on. So please let's get some questions in if people have questions. Otherwise, we were going to talk about.
Yeah, let us know questions. But yeah, we'll start actually talking about the topic at hand.
Which is what?
Which is, we wanted to just quickly go over some of our honest thoughts about our summer travels and what we're kind of the way that we're looking at travel this summer from the perspective of the fact that we live in a very urban city that is still under shelter in place. We know that that's not the case for everybody, but we can talk a little bit about what our perspective is. Would you like to say?
No.
Oh, no? Okay. So...
Yeah, okay, I guess I'll say one thing. And when we say, like, we live in, like, a big urban place, but, like, we live in, like, a densely populated, we live in Chicago, 3rd largest city in the country, and, one of the highest incidences of COVID-19 and all that stuff is here. I think we're, like, number 5 or something like that in terms of states. And a lot of that's centered around here in Chicago. So as we kind of talk about our thoughts around travel, that's kind of our mindset, is that we do live in a densely populated urban environment that has, quite a bit of an outbreak. So
yeah, and we've been talking to a lot of people all over the country that we are friends with or family members who have different experiences than we currently have. So we're hoping that just us sharing our experiences right now and our thoughts will be helpful, but not necessarily saying that it makes the most sense for all of you guys. So I just wanted to caveat that. But for us, we at this point, because of the rate of growth in cases in the city of Chicago, specifically like in this county, we are expecting shelter in place to extend into June. At this point in time, it would be a surprise if it didn't. And I'm hoping for all of you guys that's not the case, who aren't in the same city as us. So with that said, we have taken a much more cautious approach than we were initially hoping we would have to with summer travel planning. And if things start to open up, because Derek and I have been sheltering in place, not going out, not seeing anybody really since mid-March, since we got home from Europe, we aren't feeling like we have any sort of new exposure. Like the chance of that is very small. But we are just looking at it as we don't want to endanger any other cities or states or anything like that, especially in the next few weeks. So we are probably not going to be looking at any travel until end of June at the very, very earliest, which is devastating to us as travel enthusiasts. But, we're taking, a cautious approach, and also wanting to make sure that we keep everybody safe and follow the lay of the land here in Chicago too.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, everything's kind of like subject to change as things evolve, and obviously everything is always changing and whatnot. So we'll see what ends up happening ultimately. But it's likely that we'll be much more cautious than even maybe what people say is like the recommendation out there. So if we did do something though, I did see a question from Gallivanting Gals about renting an RV. I do think that would be one way that maybe we would go sooner, which is via renting an RV that allows us to kind of socially distance more because we're not checking into hotels. We had to figure out what dealing with black water and gray water means because that sounds gross, but that's something that maybe I'd be willing to actually entertain for the sake of social distancing during the pandemic. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see. I mean, what I want to know is like Gallivanting Gals, from your perspective, like RVs, how easy are they to drive? Like, what's the learning curve look like? Like, I've never driven anything bigger than like a Chevy well, that's not true. I drove like a big Class 6 truck once, but only through like a parking lot. So how like, is it much different than like a big truck, or what are we talking about?
Also, I just want to sidebar real quick and ask Eric Brown, did you hear any...
he didn't hear any of what I had said.
Oh,
so, Eric, I went into a whole thing about what camera to get. And we'll get to that. We'll go through the list of questions, but I've got you covered on cameras. I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, maybe he'll be a little bit more concise this go around.
That's mean.
I love you.
I caused.
He
I caused
totally
it.
nerded out on cameras, and none of you.
I nerded out on cameras. Nobody was there for it. In fact, I think I broke the internet.
That was it.
I gave too much good advice.
There you go. That's definitely what happened.
For those who are part of the Walter's World thing, she was about to start a "Shut Up, Derek" drinking game.
That's not true.
So.
Megan Moore says, "LOL at the thought of Derek changing gray water." I don't even know what gray water is. Is it like dirty, used water, basically?
I think gray water is from like washing your hands, and black water is like from the toilet.
Okay, cool. So I have a pretty big RV learning curve myself, I think.
Yeah.
So,
but with that Costco gas price, I don't know. How can you not?
Yeah. So Derek just filled up our. We have a hybrid vehicle, so we have not, and obviously haven't been going anywhere. So we have not filled up our car for months. And he just went to Costco and filled it up this week, and it was like $1.99 per gallon, which for Chicago.
For Chicago's great. It's
insane.
Funny because like a couple block or I don't know, less than a mile from our house, there's a BP and a Shell, and they're each like $1 more expensive per gallon. It was like $2.99 versus $1.98.
And Mark Finley, don't worry about vanishing because you missed a huge technical glitch that apparently you got to have a Zoom call through. So.
That's awesome. Okay, but there were some questions up here that we can kind of get to.
Totally, let's jump.
Bonnie wants to know about East Coast or West Coast oysters from a North American perspective.
So, I have a very strong opinion on this. I, from a taste perspective, love East Coast oysters. I feel like there is a difference in how they look and how they taste. Like, from my experience, East Coast oysters are typically a little bit bigger than West Coast and a little bit sweeter. And so that's just, if there's ever East Coast versus West Coast on the menu, I 100% will go East Coast if I have to choose.
It looks like both Bonnie and Gallivanting Gals agree with you.
Oh, great. So, guess we gotta.
There is consensus.
Consensus,
okay.
Yeah.
Gallivanting Gals is saying we need to come down to Indy. So my brother and my sister-in-law both live. Well, they're my brother and sister-in-law, so they live together. They live in Indy. So yeah, we'd probably make it down to Indy at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe even before we went on a bigger trip, we'd do that.
And also his grandparents live in Greenwood.
Yeah, my grandparents live down there.
And just to jump back to oysters really quick. So she's asking from an across the pond perspective. I'm not 100% sure on what you meant by that, Bonnie, but we So I've had oysters in Galway and loved them. I don't know if there's like an East Coast versus West Coast oyster thing going on in like Ireland or in Great Britain, but just wanted to share that as well.
All right, so Eric is now asking about the recommendation on a camera, and he wants to upgrade from his Nikon Coolpix. Not looking for anything professional yet, but something better, maybe in the $600 to $700 range. So I like Sony. I shoot with a Sony. I've shot with Sony for a long time, ever since 2011, when I bought my first like real, not Canon PowerShot camera, and I got a Sony Nex 5N, which is like an old model of their mirrorless cameras. So what I did was I grabbed my actual camera to just show you, and I upgraded from that camera to the Sony a6500 right after we got married, actually, before we went on our honeymoon, because I wanted something better for that trip. And I will say that these cameras have come a long way over the last, decade. This camera is really nice, but there's a cheaper version, which is the Sony a6000, which is very good. It's a high quality camera. Yeah, it's still interchangeable lenses. And you can buy one of those with a kit lens, with this lens basically, which is a 18 to 55 zoom lens. And I'll tell you what, this lens I use for about 90 to 95% of what I do. It's a great lens, super easy. It kind of gets all the different compositions I want to do with the lens. So just because the camera is interchangeable doesn't mean you need to go out and buy 20 different lenses. I find that most people shoot with like 2, maybe 3 for most of what they do. And when you travel, you probably take 2 lenses max, maybe a third. And I think this is great. And the a6000 would be a great option. Really good quality picture, good stabilization, and it built into the camera. It's all good. So
yeah. I will just piggyback on that. So if you're looking at a slightly lower price point than what Derek was just saying with the a6000, or if you just don't want to switch from Nikon, for example, the Nikon P900 is actually a really great travel camera because it has a very, very good zoom, and it's still super compact, and it's a point and shoot. So if you didn't want to quite like do a huge jump from the Coolpix to like an interchangeable lens Sony camera, that might be something to look at. And they might even have an updated version of that too, because the P900 came out in 2016, I believe, is when I used to do some advertising for Nikon. So I believe that's when I was working on that campaign. Yeah. But then there's also, so I shoot when I'm traveling with the Sony RX100 VII. But if you aren't as interested in using that as a video option, if you just want, here it is. If you just want the camera capabilities, the camera capabilities are pretty good as well. And you can get like older models that still have really, really strong camera stuff for a lot less money. So something else to keep in mind. We will put links to like what Derek shoots with, and I've actually filmed several videos on my channel with Derek's camera. We'll do to the a6000, to this, and the Nikon P900 too. So hopefully that helped. There's just, the camera technology these days is so great, and sometimes you just really want to have like a little bit better zoom than on your phone.
Yeah, and that's really where the bigger cameras shine, is that they have more megapixels, bigger sensors. There's only so much that a camera phone can actually have in terms of sensor size. So when you're looking at wanting to actually take pictures that you might want to blow up one day, get done on like a nice printed on paper and framed and put on the wall, that you really do require a larger sensor camera.
Yeah. Then Katie Smith's asking if we've seen the TV show Good Bones, which is based in Indy. And yes, I love that Rachel chimed in, because I know that Rachel went to the same high school as the girl on Good Bones. So we've seen a few episodes, but not
I've
a
never
ton.
seen an episode.
But it's pretty cool what they're doing with transforming houses in Indianapolis. What would you say about just traveling to Indianapolis generally? He grew up there, so I'm gonna respect his opinion for sure.
Sorry, what's the question?
Like, would you recommend Indianapolis to somebody from California if they wanted to visit there?
Yeah, I mean, Indianapolis is a great city. It's a good sports town. If you're looking at attending any sort of like live sporting events, obviously it has a great football team.
They don't have baseball.
No, they don't have baseball. They don't have hockey, but they do have a lot of like tournaments and things like that as well. So it's a good place for that. The Indy 500 is actually a really cool event. It's one of it's the largest sporting event in the world in terms of like just how freaking massive it is. I think they were talking about like you could fit Vatican City into the infield of the Indy 500. Which
Crazy.
Is cool. But it's a giant party, right? So you go down and you party for like a week in Indianapolis. It's a madhouse. I'm assuming that is not happening this year. So maybe next year that'd be something to go to. I would try to tie it to some sort of event, though. I mean, Indianapolis is fun, but I think that for much more than a weekend, you kind of struggle to find stuff to do. The downtown area is pretty cool, but it does kind of peter out fairly early, or at least that's my memory of it. It's been a little while. There's really cool.
The takeaway for, and I went to school in Bloomington, Indiana, but like you kind of run out of touristy things to do pretty quick.
Well, it depends. If you like, museums and stuff, there's a lot of great museums. You could spend probably days just going to museums if you want. If you have kids, there's a great children's museum. There's an art institute. There's like I said, you can go visit the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They've got a museum there, I think. There's some cool memorials in the downtown area. The War Memorial is pretty cool. So there's a lot of stuff to see and do, but not much beyond like a long weekend. Maybe some of the people here would disagree. If you're staying more in like there's some like really cool like bars and restaurants in certain parts of Indianapolis, but I'd say that's more like the Broad Ripple type area of Indianapolis rather than like downtown.
So definitely something to keep in mind. I think Indy's like everybody that we know from Indy is super nice though. Like you are going to meet a lot of really great people if you go visit there. Okay, so where are we? Ryan's explaining to us.
First dump the black and then flush the gray.
Okay.
Good to know.
You guys are teaching us some probably RVing 101 here. Yeah. We are that much of newbies, so thank you.
Just never even looked at it. Galvanizing gals it's fine depending on the size you want. I'm assuming that means like how easy it is to drive them. Eric Brown's laughing at the idea of us just talking to ourselves for so long. Yeah, that's so sad.
I had to listen to Derek's diatribe on cameras.
Twice!
You guys all got.
She got to hear it twice.
The second time was a lot faster, which was so great.
Yeah. I had a dry run.
That's true. We perfected it the second time. Okay. And then Galvanizing Gal says they are too heavy, and depending on what you want, there is a learning curve, but not horrible. Just know you won't get anywhere fast.
So that's again about RVs, and like there's a learning curve to driving and whatnot. And we'll be taking it slow.
Hopefully they don't require knowing how to drive stick shift, because still don't know that, as you guys have heard in our past live streams.
Yeah. I was right. Galvanizing Gal says gray water is the sink water and shower, and black is toilet.
Nifty.
There we go.
And Mark Finley. Oh yeah, so I already said welcome back. Thanks for coming back.
Katie says that Good Bones show is really cute and makes like Indy look like the place to be.
I'm sure. There's a lot of great housing and stuff in Indy. A lot of people can find some great houses.
Jumped.
I did jump, and I didn't
Alright, you
mean
can stop.
to. Okay. Oh, I
Stop.
Right now. Okay.
Okay. Eric is saying that gas is $1.18 right now at his Costco, and that is
You're
awesome.
way closer to
I'm
like
jealous.
the oil source. Chicago is always the one of, if not the most expensive gasoline places in the entire country.
Continental, because Hawaii.
But I believe Eric's in Louisiana, so he's pretty close to the Gulf and stuff.
Alaska and Hawaii are way more expensive than us.
No kidding. I guess it'd be continental, yeah, like you said.
You have to ship it. Okay, so...
Gallivanting Gals is saying...
Oh, she means to get out of Chicago, so flee Chicago to Indy.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I think that
unfortunately, everybody that we know in Indianapolis who we would stay with has a cat.
She's allergic to cats.
And I'm allergic to cats.
So
I could probably spend like one night somewhere if their house is like pretty well dusted, but no more than one. So it really limits us with Indianapolis, just based on our group.
Yeah. All right. So Nick D. Have we said hi to Nick D yet? Hi, Nick D.
Hi, Nick D.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining.
He wants to know, do you all listen to podcasts while traveling or quarantining?
Traveling,
yes.
Definitely.
Definitely when traveling.
We have a favorite one that we listen to if we're on like a longer road trip.
Yeah, we really enjoy listening to a podcast called My Brother, and Me. It's by the McElroy brothers. And I started listening to it back in like 2017, 2016, something like that. And I'm about to make myself a huge nerd here, but I was going to Comic-Con in New York City because I had a client that was a comic book company, and so I was going out there for that, but also figured it would be nice to go see one of my favorite authors who was going to be like hosting some sort of thing, and he was hosting a Q&A with the people from My Brother and Me, who I had no idea who they were, but I'm about to go to one of their events, so I'm like, well, I guess I'll download a few of their podcasts, and I'll listen to it while I'm in line like a schmuck waiting to get into this place. I listened to probably like 2 hours of their podcast before going into the show, and I was hooked. It's hilarious. It's a comedy podcast that masks itself as like an advice show. They're about an hour long.
So they're great for road trips. They're kind of like, to get to his parents' house, it's a 5-hour drive from Chicago. And so we'll just kind of put on podcasts and plow through. It's pretty great.
Yeah, no, that one's good. And then if you're looking for...
We have a list of all of our recommended travel podcasts in the description of one of my previous live streams. So I can't precisely remember which one it is, but I'll try to copy and paste those into this one. I should start some notes, actually. I'm putting a lot of stuff in the description tonight. Don't want to forget anything.
Yeah, so just real quick on a couple of other podcasts I think are really great. So there's a history podcast that's really good by a guy named Mark Carlin. It's called Hardcore History. Very entertaining. His are like, those are super long. They're like 3-4 hours a pop. And he only puts them out like once every few months. Those are pretty interesting if you're into that kind of thing.
Yep. Cool. And then Katie Smith and Gallivanting Gals are having a great conversation just about San Francisco and Nashville. Nashville's a really fun city. We also like country music, so it's like extra fun for us.
Real quick, Blaine 2007, welcome.
Welcome, Blaine. Awesome to have you back again.
Welcome, sir.
And I think he's doing a live stream coming up soon too, so hopefully we can all tune in there. Give him a little support.
Yeah, so he's asking, is the Canon PowerShot G7X Mark II good?
We haven't tried that one, but I'm pretty sure that's the one that's a good competitor to the Sony RX100. And I think a lot of YouTubers use that one too. So definitely,
it's good for the vlogging.
What I did when I was contemplating a vlogging camera is I watched side-to-side review video comparisons between the Canon and the Sony, and we went Sony just because we're in that Sony ecosystem right now. Like all of our equipment is Sony, so it's all compatible with each other and stuff. But if you are a Canon shooter already, that might be a good option. And then
Thomas Reiser is saying that he likes the iPhone 11.
I love the iPhone 11 and actually was really wanting to get one. Right now I have the 10, the X. But I'm probably going to upgrade soon at some point.
Bonnie is saying that in Galway, the oysters would probably be West Coast.
Yeah. Definitely West Coast oysters if we're talking about Ireland. Yeah. You see what I mean? So, across the pond, I guess. I'm a West Coast oyster gal. Yeah. I guess I would have to say that as well. Although I don't know if I've had East Coast of Ireland or East... I would try it, though.
Eric?
I think I mentioned this on like a very, very previous live stream, like one of the first ones, but I have heard that the oysters from Namibia are amazing. Never been to Namibia, but that's like the number one thing I want to try when I'm there, because apparently like the ocean current really enriches the oysters off of the shore and just makes them taste very, very good. So someday it's on my travel bucket list. Sorry, I interrupted you. So, Travel Best Destination says, I was in Indianapolis 2 to 3 months ago and made some videos. It is an awesome city. Oh, I'll have to check those out. Because we haven't lived in Indiana since, like, literally 10 years ago, since 2010. So, we're going to need to brush up on what's cool.
Yeah.
Somehow I keep... Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you keep... Yeah.
The canal walk in Indianapolis is cool.
Yeah, the canal walk
just don't
is
do
nice.
it at night unless they've like made it more safe in the past 10 years.
And St. Elmo's Steakhouse in Indy is classic, and that is, if you're going to eat somewhere in Indy, I would totally do St. Elmo's. Super nice, phenomenal steaks, and I think that's the place, but they have like an awesome like shrimp cocktail, so very good.
And she says it is, but I can't handle the cocktail sauce. Gal said that.
Yeah, no, super spicy cocktail sauce at St.
Is that
Elmo's.
what?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying is phenomenal? Is that it's really spicy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Galvan and Gals is saying, no stick shifts, LOL, you guys are making us feel old.
So, just so everybody knows the backstory to that, my dad, who is no longer on this chat, I don't think, Alan A., I asked him to teach me how to drive stick shift for my birthday this year at the end of February. So that way we would know how to drive that when we would go to Europe and stuff like that, where it's like completely, that's what everybody does. And my parents both know how to do it. We've just never owned a stick shift car. And so...
I need to plug in my phone.
Okay. So, apparently, my dad did a bunch of research, and you cannot rent a car with the intention of teaching people how to drive that car. So, because we're a very type A family, we're not going to break those rules. So, we found a local place that will teach me how to drive stick shift, but my birthday, like I said, was February 28th, and then Corona happened, so now I somehow still don't know how to do that. So we'll see if I ever learn how to drive stick shift. And Derek doesn't know either.
Nope, never had to, always had an automatic. Yeah, Thompson can't even learn how to drive stick in the U.S.
I know, it's so hard. There's literally like one place in the Chicago suburbs that we found.
Darian, welcome back. Glad you found us again.
Yes,
yeah, we had some technical difficulties. Stop. What are you doing? I'm trying to read
It just jumps.
You moved it.
But I'm trying to move it so we keep up.
Okay, well, I'm trying to...
Darian said, go ahead.
Okay, now I don't know. Hey, Darian, welcome back. That's all I got.
Also, we have new people. Hi, Evolution Reviews. It looks like maybe they were a troll. So thank you, Eric Brown, for doing that.
Yep.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're on it. So
Yep.
Bonnie is allergic to cats too.
All right, so Galvington Gals is saying...
Hang on, let me just finish this one. Some are worse than others for me. They love me, of course. I'm the exact same way. We have friends that we went out to Seattle to visit last fall, and their cat is not something that, like, if you speak to it at all or if you give it attention, it just doesn't care about you.
It's a typical cat.
Yeah.
You ignore it,
but
wants
then
to be your best
because I
friend.
ignore it, it like follows me around the apartment. Like, it loves me.
Yeah, you need to use, like, reverse psychology, and when you first walk in, be like, oh, hey, come pet, you know. And then it'll just, like, be like, no, I don't want you.
That's cats for you, isn't it?
Yeah, so Galvin and Gals is saying that I think a fifth wheel might be better. Having had a 38-foot Class A, you have to tow a car and you lose too much for cab, and the gas is worse versus towing. I'm sure that makes a lot of sense to people who understand RVs, but I'll have to read that later and digest it.
Yeah, we need to really mull that over. And yes, we are cool with putting people in timeouts and stuff like that if they're being annoying. We're pretty much going to lift up the Walter's World live stream rules and put them into ours as well.
Nothing too political, nothing, you know,
nothing
crass.
Political, period. Yeah. No swears, no annoying things.
Yeah. Okay. But at so Blaine 2007 is saying, would love to just pull up to a campground instead of making sure the fifth wheel is level and then hooking up when leaving. Okay, again, I'm sure that all makes sense, but I don't really know what any of that means. See, we don't know anything about RVing, which is why we would need to read a lot of how-to videos and watch stuff.
I'm just going to jump real quick to Eric Brown's question about GoPros. So we have a GoPro Hero 6. Is that the model that we have?
Not the most recent one, but it's the one before
most.
that.
And we like it for just doing like B-roll filming, but we don't really use it for much else.
Well, we would use it for, you know, if we went somewhere that we were doing like snorkeling or something like that. You know, when we were looking at doing a trip to Australia, maybe this summer, which is no longer happening, we thought it would be fun to take it with us and go like snorkeling and whatnot there. Or if we were like jumping out of an airplane, we would take it with us for that.
Yeah.
We haven't done any of that since we had it, but we do like it for B-roll. With the not the most recent one, but the one before it, they kind of introduced a much better in-body stabilization. So you can just like hold it and pan, and it's like very smooth, as though it kind of has a built-in gimbal. And a gimbal is something that kind of like uses a gyroscope to make sure it stays level all the time. Gives you this really cinematic, cinematic look as you do B-roll. So we like it for that. It has some pretty cool nifty features around like hyperlapses and time lapse and all that good stuff. So
Derek
that's all
did
great.
A hyperlapse where he like when we went to Bloomington and I did the whole video about like our Bloomington travel vlog. He went around the entire courthouse, which is like a huge square in the center of town, and did a hyperlapse of that I included in the video with GoPro footage.
Yeah, and it's high quality. It's doing like 4K
video. Lastly, before we move on, there is an Amex deal right now on certain Amex cards, if you have one, that you can get like, I think it's like $100 off a $500 GoPro purchase. We haven't used it because we already have one, but I noticed that the other day, so. We're
not looking for a second one. Though I will say, you know, it's funny, I think we were watching, I think it was Samantha Brown, and she was talking about, I don't know if this was on her Instagram feed or what it was, but she was talking about her camera setup for like a road trip video, and turns out it's like a bunch of GoPros basically like throughout her vehicle that are on, and I thought that was pretty neat, because I could see that GoPros would be really good for like shooting video in like tight spaces, because it gives you that really super wide angle lens, like that's the type of, it's like super wide, so it would be good for something like that.
Yeah.
So. And it's stabilized, which is nice.
Backing up a little bit, Blaine was saying, Gallivanting Gals would love to just pull up to a campground instead of making sure fifth wheel is level and hooking it up with. So yeah, that must.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was like, I don't know what that means.
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. Yeah, and then Nick D is saying that he saw Travis McElroy at Doug Loves Movies, which I don't know what Doug Loves Movies is.
But I like Travis McElroy, so that's good. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's funny. So he's one of the McElroy brothers, just so everybody knows.
And if you're into other things like D&D or whatever, which I don't know, again, nerd alert, but I'm a nerd. What can I say?
Are you into D&D?
No, but I'm into their show that's about D&D, which is funny.
Like the McElroy Brothers show
about it. It's called The Adventure Zone, and their dad's on it too, which makes it really fun.
So there's that. Okay, then... And thank you guys. Thank you, Gallivanting Gals, for doing that moderating for us.
We really appreciate it.
Really nice of you. And yes, Megan Morris, that was a milestone for this channel. That was our first troll.
Woo! Party.
Round of applause. We have made it.
I think I said that during like our first live stream, maybe our second one, that I was like, I feel like that's when we'll have made it.
I think Megan was on whatever live stream that was. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. So Gallivanting Gals is saying that if you have to tow another vehicle, or if you don't have to tow another vehicle, I agree, but if you are towing, you still have to hook up and unhook the tow, and you still have to level. So I guess that just means fifth wheel over the type of RV you'd have and whatnot. So if you're towing a vehicle anyways, there's not much of a difference between, I guess, the two types, because you still have to do a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. And if anybody has live streams, feel free to just drop them in. I'm seeing that Travel Best Destinations, talking to Gallivanting Gals about the different ones. Gallivanting Gals, they definitely have one on Monday nights that we like to attend. So yeah, if you guys have any coming up, just let us know.
Yep.
It keeps jumping.
It's fine. This.
Oh, that's where it is? Okay.
Okay.
And then, lots of live streams these days, that's for sure. And I love that this community is kind of coming together through live streams, and I feel like I'm finally getting to know everybody and learning about new channels. It's been a good way to connect during quarantine, and I think with all the people who would normally be out traveling are actually at home, we can all finally talk to each other.
Sorry. Well, I like that Gallivanting Gals and Blaine are talking about like their live streams, and it looks like they're at the same time on Mondays. So to figure that out, but it's awesome. It's great connecting with all these people. But what made me laugh out loud was Alan A saying, "Thanks to Gallivanting Gals for preventing this turning into means to Trollville."
Yeah.
And that dad joke just hit me really.
Joke
that hit me right in the feels. That's so good, Al.
There it is.
Bonnie is saying,
Eric Brown was helping with the trolls too, so thank you to Eric as well.
Yep.
That we really appreciate it.
Bonnie is saying you should learn how to drive stick from a stranger. They can be more forgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Than somebody you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No fifth wheel for you guys. That's funny.
And then they're also saying we need a Class C or a van.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, big Sprinter van or something. I don't know. I'll have to check out like a Class C, what that is.
Bonnie's asking a burning question that we do know what it is. So she is saying, do you use specific glasses with certain wines or beers? My family in Germany would not serve you a beer if you did not have the proper glass for that beer. So we are not that extreme,
no.
But we definitely have differentiated between, like these stemless ones are really just for red wine. We probably drank white out of it here and there, but they're made for red wine and for making the red wine a little bit more breathable and creating surface area. So we do pay attention to that a little bit. With beer, like we have a couple beer glasses in the house, but we're not super like strict about that. Derek will drink it usually just from a can. And I don't drink beer, and so if I drink cider, it's usually just from the can. And then with
I did get
champagne, though, we have champagne flutes, and we would definitely be like upset if we put champagne into something like this. So
it's just not as fun with the bubblies.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I would say that the different glasses for the different things, like as long as it like doesn't make it bad, I don't care. The only reason why I wouldn't put white wine in this is because your hand's going to warm up the wine quicker, and if you're just trying to sip it, you want to keep it cold, so you want to like hold it by the stem. Same thing with champagne. Wow, you took all the wine. Okay.
I didn't mean to.
You did this. I think that meant that you meant to.
I thought there was less. I'm sorry, everybody.
So good.
We're drinking a really good Malbec, actually. I got this at Benny's, too. So I thought I'd show you all it. Tapis Alta Collection. Benny's, if you're on, let us know. We'll partner with you.
Yeah. And just real quick, so, Blaine, so Blaine is goes live on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
And I think Gallivanting Gals is at 7 East. No, they're at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, they're at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, both Gallivanting Gals and Blaine 2007, go check them out.
We'll have to pull up our dual screens and hang out with both of you guys at the same time or something.
Yeah. So go check them out and whatnot, because it's good to support everybody around here.
Yeah, it is, and we've appreciated everybody's support so much. And I try to tune in as best as I can to everybody's live streams.
Hey, Michelle's here.
Oh, Michelle's here. Welcome, Michelle.
Welcome.
Sorry that we missed you before.
Yeah, good to see you.
They're saying, or Michelle was saying, an RV series would be so much fun, and I'd love to see Gallivanting Gals.
They're saying that they have one coming to their channel next week.
I am very much looking forward to that. I think that's going to be really topical for the summer too. I've read so many articles about how it's expected that the RV industry is just going to explode this summer, because a lot of people that's how people are going to feel comfortable traveling, including us. Like we were saying earlier. When we were talking a little bit about how our summer travels might unfold. I think RVs are definitely for folks who are a little bit more nervous about staying at hotels and exposure. That might be the right choice.
Yeah, no, and it's also, we were talking about this, is an RV to me makes a lot more sense if you're gonna kind of park in a place for an amount of time, not if you're going to be driving many hours each day,
or if you're going to be in a big city.
That'd be kind of tough. So if you're heading out west or something like that and going to hit up a bunch of parks and whatnot, I think that could be a lot of fun. A good way to do that, kind of park it, camp it, do some hikes for a few days at a time. I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So Gallivanting Gals is talking about, I lost it. Yeah, so Gallivanting Gals is asking Eric Brown if he's in a league for his bowling. So she's saying half of us are, not this half, but Tracy's a bowler and she loves it.
I like bowling. I don't bowl a lot, but I've always been exceptionally good at it for my size. I have no muscle whatsoever. For somebody
who doesn't bowl a lot, you're an okay bowler.
My muscle is negative muscle.
Negative muscle. She did, however.
My maiden name is Armstrong, and it's ironic.
It was pretty funny because we were getting out her art supplies today, and she opens up the door under our, so we have a storage area underneath our stairs, and she opens up the door and all of a sudden goes, "Oh my god!" and freaks out.
I was freaked out just now from that.
And I was like, "What? Oh my god, what is it? What's wrong?" And I was thinking the worst. I'm like, is there a critter in there? Is it
It was basically a critter.
It was a big spider.
I don't know how this has anything to do with bowling, so
it has nothing to do with bowling, but
okay.
Just I don't know. I was thinking
so
about
that
Armstrong
happened,
and muscles.
and it was scary.
It was great. There was a big spider in a bowl that was kind of stuck. She's like, "Is that fake?" I'm like, "Nope, that is definitely not fake."
Everybody watch out. It's
times.
Springtime.
Yeah. So Megan Morse, did you see that Amex Platinum is offering a second $200 travel credit for people who have annual fee during this time? You can use it from August 2020 through December 2021.
No, I did not know that. Thank you, Megan. And I'm writing this down too.
Yeah, we need to look into that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so Gallivanting Gals is saying to Michelle, "Hey, didn't know you were here. We think it makes sense right now. We have some RV friends lined up for interview/tips, etc. and then we will do a few must-know tips and tricks for RVing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm going to need that if we ever consider an RV.
So, gallivanting gals, think of us as like your target audience of people who would love to try an RV but are scared to death of taking on the responsibility of an RV. So just talk down to us. That's basically what you should think. We need to
Don't assume that we know what gray water is.
Yeah, don't assume people know what gray water, black water, or any of that kind of stuff is. Because maybe they don't. Gallivanting Gals saying you don't need anything but your... Alright, so, yeah, Thomas Reiser was talking about, he has been thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on camera equipment. And Gallivanting Gals is saying something I think is really important, which is that you really don't need anything other than a phone to start.
Yep. I read a book that I found really helpful for beginners when I started my channel called Vlog Like a Boss by Amy. Her new name is Amy Landino. It's Amy Schmittauer, I think is what it was published under. And so that was really helpful, and she does say, like, all you need is a phone. Phones have phenomenal cameras in them, and my very first YouTube video on my channel was filmed on my iPhone in London. So that's definitely true. We have upgraded our cameras a little bit since then, and we have lighting and stuff, but really all you need is, like, natural light, like with a window or something like that, and your cell phone, and probably a tripod. That's about it. So definitely give it a go. You can practice as much as you want before uploading too.
And
he's looking for the book, I think, but it's
I
not.
was looking
It's not
for the
up
book,
there.
but okay.
It's not up there.
Oh, you should have let me sooner. And what I would say is that it's very easy to get out of hand with like spending money on equipment and and whatnot. I mean,
there's always stuff that I want.
We've spent a lot of money on equipment, but at the end of the day, it's a long-term investment for us, so that's why we're okay doing it, and it's our passion, and we love it. So there's that. But yeah, no, you can do it for with a bit more of a budget in mind, and get started, because the best time to start is now. It's like the old proverb of like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is today.
Yep.
So plant that tree, start a channel, have some fun. And Nick D is saying that audio equipment is important. I agree. Audio is really important. But
we're using an external microphone right now for this. Yeah. For several of our initial live streams, we were using just my MacBook, and you can hear a difference between the two live streams.
It's definitely more echoey without the microphone.
Yep. And when I record my YouTube videos, I often have a lavalier mic that you guys can usually see. But what I struggle with is, because this is a travel channel, having proper sound equipment while traveling is really challenging.
Yeah.
So I certainly have not perfected that. I'm constantly on the lookout for that, of like how I can improve, and even like learn good sound editing too, because that can help in post-production as well.
Yeah. So and Gallivanting Gals is making the point that you can start on your phone until you figure out what you want. Like what you want to be, what you want to do, and then kind of once you found your voice and found your niche, maybe invest a little bit more at that point. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. Who's that one couple that we watch sometimes? They're like the backflip type people, but it's fun. Not really backflip.
The backflip people. I have no idea who he's talking about.
Oh man, they came back. I think they're from Canada.
Anyway.
Whatever it is, but he started out with a GoPro. He had an old GoPro, and
Okay.
that was it. He started he has a very successful channel now, and he started out just like leaving, I think he left Canada to like Asia with a one-way ticket and like a few $1,000s, and kind of just started.
Are you talking about Los LeBlanc?
Yes.
Oh.
Los LeBlanc is who I'm thinking of.
Okay.
And I think he has a really good channel, and I think that he actually does some really cool stuff with his like video and videography and everything. So
yeah, but
he's really evolved a bunch over the years, and he got in pretty early, but you can start relatively easily with a minimal down payment.
My favorite advice about starting a channel that helped me kind of get over that initial hump of actually doing my first uploads was that your first videos are probably gonna suck.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna have to get over it, and that's normal. And everybody's first videos suck. Mine do. The audio in my first video on my channel is really low, for example. But I had people comment on that video and say the audio is low, so I made adjustments, and moving forward I haven't had that issue. Yeah. And so you really learn as your community responds too, which has been, I've been so grateful to have such a strong, helpful, loving community, and I really appreciate all of you guys too.
Yeah. Telling us when we're in a loop and we are stuck and we're not doing anything anymore.
Yeah.
That's always helpful. So Blaine 2007 is saying, the wife and I have talked about getting a motorhome and traveling around and vlogging. So travel by RV may be something coming to our channel in the future.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
I'm really looking forward to all these RV adventures this summer and tuning into all these new channels that I've connected with.
Yeah, all those people that did van conversions a year ago and stuff are looking pretty smart right now.
Yeah.
They're just I'm just gonna check it out and hang out in my Sprinter van.
Yeah, so we're still not putting any sort of line in the sand about when air travel would continue for us, or restart for us. So we're being very cautious about that, but I think like I said, we have a car at least, and potentially an RV if we get our butts moving on that. We'll see where that goes, where that takes us.
Yeah, so I was just laughing at Michelle talking about how she came in a bit late. She was finishing up dinner, and the hubby is getting a bit tired of my hurrying to get to YouTube to ignore him, lol.
Aww.
So, bring your husband with you, and, he can join us for our live streams. We'll say hi to him as well.
Yes.
More the merrier. Bonnie is saying, I don't like the stemless glass because my hands are too small. Feel like a kid drinking out of them double-handed.
Yeah, well, we have small hands as well. We just kind of but you probably have smaller hands than even us, and I totally understand that.
So good. Okay. Eric Brown needs to check out Blaine's channel. Okay. Cool. Oh, jeez, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to move it. Okay.
Okay.
Every time I touch the chat, it jumps, and then Derek gets angry. So it's a fun loop that we have going on here. All right.
All right, so Ruth, thank you. She's been watching on the Great Room and really felt for us during the technical glitch.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.
Thank you all for supporting us through that.
And just so you know, because everybody was curious, Eric is in a bowling league, so that's pretty cool.
He's probably pretty good then.
In Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Nice.
Which has Katie saying that New Orleans is high on her list of visiting places. Checklist.
So on the road trip that we were considering through the South this summer, so I never really talked about our road trips. The one that we've mentioned before on this channel would take us up into the UP, over into Canada, and then through New England, and then down kind of around, through DC and West Virginia, back up to Chicago. Another road trip that we were looking at, though, would kind of do that West Virginia, DC sort of thing, but also go down the lower eastern seaboard into the south, and then loop around into to get to New Orleans, to get to Baton Rouge, up through Arkansas and stuff like that. So what we're trying to do is not make any decisions right now and not get our hopes up of any one road trip.
Yeah.
And we're keeping both on the table and monitoring, the coronavirus numbers, monitoring how the weather looks in those places, when we as Chicagoans would be able to go somewhere. So it's given us a little bit more opportunity to focus on planning than ever before. So that's the one positive, at least, is that we get to create 2 amazing road trips that we can just kind of move on as soon as things are safe.
Yeah, no, Louisiana would be a really cool place to get to. New Orleans and Baton Rouge and all that stuff would be really fun.
Yeah. I've never been to Louisiana. It's one of the 16 states that I have not gone to. So in a perfect world, I'd be able to do a lot of the southern ones because that would hit, I think, a few more of my missing states.
Yeah, and Eric is yawning. I'm yawning. No, all right. Eric is pointing out that there's a lot to do in New Orleans beyond just partying. There's a lot of culture and food and whatnot.
That's great.
I really want to eat some beignets while I'm down there. That'd be really good. Get the powdered sugar everywhere. Seems like that'd be fun.
Totally. Okay.
Megan is saying that New Orleans is so charming. Just don't go during Mardi Gras for your first visit, and don't ever go in the summer. Way too hot.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So that's a place that we were looking at in the summertime for a summer road trip. So I'm curious if maybe we should be mindful of the weather.
Probably should.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Katie Smith is saying that's good to hear. I'm not a huge bar person, so that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And thanks
When's
for the tip.
the best time to visit?
Yeah. I want to know too now.
I'm sure Megan,
on the edge of my seat.
So Megan said, I would say later October through December if you want to avoid the crowds and stifling heat. Yeah.
Cool. Go there for Christmas.
I guess we shouldn't go there on our road trip. But thank you guys for weighing in on that.
So Gallivanting Gals is making a good point, which is that, early on they spent money on stuff that they don't even use now for their channel. And I'd say that's probably something that a lot of people do is, you buy something because you saw it in a video somewhere as like, hey, here's like the 10 things you need as a vlogger or YouTuber. Then you find yourself not actually using that in your own personal workflow or what have you. So it's just something to be mindful of. Don't go in and just like start. That's one of the reasons why you start out slow and you start just making content and you see how it goes and what you need and do you have everything that you need, and you slowly add to your kind of arsenal of stuff. I'm sure we've run into that mistake as well.
And then Eric also said, I actually had a job offer in the Seattle area before all of the coronavirus stuff, and it went away. That's a bummer. I love Louisiana, but after living here all my life, I want to move around while I'm single and still kind of young.
Yep.
I understand that, and I'm sorry to hear about that job offer. I know that there's so many just things that got completely turned upside down from this virus, and it's affected everybody, and I'm sure Seattle's going to rebound after this. And if you are interested in that area of the country, like we have really close friends over there who work at Amazon and love it.
Yeah. Thomas Reiser is saying that he's ordered the book.
Ordered Vlog Like a Boss? Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. Amy, like Gallivanting Gals is saying, she has a great YouTube channel. I think about like a year and a half ago, she was putting out a lot more content about like YouTube. Now she's a little bit more focused on like morning routines and stuff like that. But most of her YouTube content is still going to be really relevant. So if you're interested in it, that's like a very good place to start.
Yeah, she's starting to pivot a little bit more broadly to like just efficiency lifestyle type of stuff.
But I've been following her for years.
Yeah, everybody's agreeing don't go to Louisiana in the summertime.
Okay. Noted. Thank you guys. I guess we need to alter that road trip a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had this conversation, everybody, because we would have gone to New Orleans and sweated our butts off.
Gallivanting Gals has a super important question from Mark Finley, which is, how's the cheesecake?
Oh, I know. We gotta know.
We need an update. We really do. All right, so here, travel best destinations. My main problem with starting a channel is to get the views. Yeah. No one knows me, and it's very challenging to get viewers.
And right now, more than ever, there's a lot fewer travel views to be had, because a lot fewer people are researching about travel at the moment. So like many travel channels have view counts as low as like 90% less than usual. So my view count dipped significantly within 2 weeks in March after the coronavirus hit. And we're kind of more of a like means to travel, we talk about like meaningful travel and the means to get there. That's the tagline. And so I really focus on helping people travel more and travel more meaningfully. And so it's kind of like I'm focusing on helping people as they are preparing for a trip. And if they aren't preparing for any trips, then it's a little bit harder to attract new audiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that being said, we're just keeping faith that those people are definitely going to come back, because the itch to travel is still there for so many people. And there's going to be people who are traveling, like doing, armchair travel right now as well, and more as they get further and further into quarantine. So it's just a little bit harder right now for travel channels.
Yeah. But, doing things like this, meeting people, interacting, I mean, this is a social platform, right? So that's a great way to, like, build a community by interacting, right? That's why we really love these live streams, actually, is because it's helping to actually create community, as opposed to just creating content and throwing it onto the ether and hoping that somebody watches it. We're able to actually interact and connect and have a relationship, which is pretty cool. So Bonnie is saying Canadians and Americans are lucky to have large countries to be quarantined in. In smaller countries, they are limited with their travel if they want to stay in their own country.
That's a very, very important point, Bonnie.
But what I will say is that I am jealous of the European Union generally, because I do like that you can kind of like hop over to a bunch of different countries.
No, there's certain countries that are talking about closing their borders, like within the EU.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what Bonnie's even meaning. So I would agree. There right now in the U.S. are like state by state regulations that you have to be very mindful of. So like we're living in a shelter-in-place city right now, Chicago in Illinois, but just next door to us is Indiana, that a lot, is like in phase 1 of reopening. So I think there's just a lot of research that we have to do as American citizens about what's what this summer, and how to be really good, mindful tourists. So I think all of us on this chat, we're going to be have a little bit of a leg up on that kind of thing, knowing that there are going to be differences across the board. So hopefully we can all be in this together and figure things out and figure out the best way forward.
Yeah, so Galvin and Gals was asking where Bonnie is, and Bonnie's saying that she's in Western Canada, close to Okanagan wine country.
Awesome.
Being close to any wine country.
So I don't know how far west that is, but we've been to like the Vancouver area in British Columbia, but we really want to make it to like Alberta and like Banff. So that would be an interesting road trip option if our borders open up, which that's another thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit, is I could see it being a longer amount of time before even the U.S.-Canadian border opens.
So Nick D is saying that the hottest place he's ever been to is the Dominican Republic in November.
Really?
I wouldn't have expected that.
Wow.
The hottest place I've ever been to is Singapore in the summertime.
He went for work.
Super hot. Disgustingly
We
hot.
had to buy him before that trip because it was going to be like over 100 every day and really, really humid. We had to buy him like work-appropriate linen shirts.
Yeah, like...
Because we don't own them. Like we live in Chicago, and he works in a place that like doesn't really do like linen shirts. No.
Yeah, so now I have some though, which is fun. Now we can go
to a lot of really warm climates.
Yeah, it's great. Galvin and Gaz is saying, okay, so what are your plans? I don't know if that's addressed to us, but I guess what are our summer plans? I think the answer to that is, it's still very much up in the air, but we're thinking that we'll likely do a road trip at some point.
We'd love to join you guys in
late summer.
The UP in the end of June if it feels safe, of course.
Mid to late summer, so maybe by late June, but maybe it could push more like July, August. We'll have to see. I mean, we'd love to do a long road trip, so like even up to 2 weeks would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
we've never done that.
We've never done that, so we think that'd be pretty cool.
Together, at least. I've done it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Galvin and Gals is also telling Bonnie that they have not been to Canada yet, hoping maybe we can do it this fall if it's safe and the borders are open. We all hope the borders open, because that would be a huge part of our road trip.
I think there's going to be, if the borders do open with Canada, between Canada and the U.S. especially, I bet there's going to be a lot of that kind of thinking and mentality about like, oh, I've never actually been to Canada, I've never been to the U.S., but now's the time because we can drive there. So I am really hopeful for that kind of interchange. And then even with Mexico, if we can figure out the right places to go, summertime is going to be hot no matter what. And there's certain areas along the border that are less safe than other areas further south. So.
Yeah, I mean, if Mexico, if travel to Mexico was open in the summertime, I would totally go to, Mexico City and stuff, which is at a higher elevation, so it actually doesn't get that hot in the summertime. And that would be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah.
So it's funny because Nick D and Galvin and Gals are having a little bit of a conversation about the November heat wave and whatnot, and he was saying that it was they were expecting it was going to be warm in November, but it was brutal. But at least the pool helped.
That's insane.
Yeah. So all right. So Karen Mack has something to say about Canada.
At least hopefully they had air conditioning there.
Yeah. So Karen Mack has something to say about the Canadian border. So she does not think the Canadian border is likely to open anytime soon. She's in Toronto, and they are being discouraged from traveling even within their provinces.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't surprise me. And this is what I promised a lot of people, an honest conversation about this tonight. So just wanting to be a little bit more transparent about where our minds are at than we probably have been in the past.
Yeah, and it's important that people remember, in the United States, Canada, wherever, that, even though our country, even if our country opens up, even if America, even if, whatever, even every state in the U.S. opens up for business by the end of the summer, that doesn't mean that other countries are going to let us go to them. So just because we open up, you might have things like in Austria or other places that say you come here and you have to spend 14 days in quarantine once you arrive, and then you can travel around our country. So, depending on how long that lasts, I mean, if countries require that until a vaccine hits, that means that it's very unrealistic to travel to a number of places for the next 18 months until there's actually a vaccine. So, I think that, and I'm not saying that it's going to take until there's a vaccine, but until those countries do open up, it's not just our decision, it's a two-way street. So, that's very important for people to remember and to think about, and has a huge impact on, what our plans are with our travel. Because if the U.S. opened up and another country opened up to the U.S. so we could make that connection, we could probably go abroad pretty soon. But we would need to feel, safe that it's not just for economics that everything opened up, but because it's actually safe.
And we would also be much more, like, in a scenario where that happened and that Illinois was not still in a stay-at-home order, meaning like Derek's office was open, for example, that would be an interesting dynamic of, okay, well, once we got home, would we feel like maybe potentially we've been exposed? And I'm hoping that like an antibodies test or like the testing for the actual disease is going to become so much more accurate and immediate that we can make more informed decisions that way.
So it's funny, Galvin and Gals is saying that excuse me.
Derek's yawning tonight.
I'm yawning, guys. I'm sorry. So Galvin and Gals is saying that they're being advised not to travel state to state, but they're hoping that by fall the border will open. But I guess it all depends on how well we get it under control.
Not to travel state to state, even. Wow.
Yeah. So, but then Galvin and Gals says, "But I'm still okay paying $200 to get into Austria." And that came out of the Walter's World live stream last night. That somebody made the point that. They'll let you bypass the 14-day quarantine if you pay $200 to get a on the spot COVID test. And if you pass the test, they'll let you in and waive that time period.
I think it was an antibodies test.
No, I doubt it's an antibody.
It was if you're actually infected? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because the antibody doesn't tell you anything.
Listen to him, sorry. He knows more.
Yeah, so, so would I. Probably the two of us would pay that. But if we had a family of 4 or 5...
leave Austria. So you would need
Well, you might be able to go regionally then, once
Well, you would need to find a direct flight from the U.S. to Austria in that scenario. Which is doable, I'm sure that exists. But there's fewer of them, so...
Yeah, because what a lot of people are saying is that, like, interregional is probably what's going to open up. So, like, maybe, like, once you get into Austria, you can then travel to, like, some of their neighboring countries and stuff and be fine. But, maybe you're then just in Austria. And what I was trying to say was that, for us, for 2 people, we're at $400, add that on to, like, an expensive trip, that's not that bad. But if we were a family of 5, and all of a sudden our trip just became more expensive by $1,000, that would probably have us kind of second-guessing things.
Yeah.
So.
So I'm seeing Gallivanting Gal saying, you guys are so right, this stuff is bad, and I don't want it. I can't imagine being in the hospital without any family. That is, that's a huge fear of mine, and it sounds like for you guys too. So, even more than that right now, we're very hypersensitive to the fact that there are people who have compromised immune systems that you meet every single day, and you don't really know about that until, like, they say it. But, like, we have immediate family members who have, like, autoimmune diseases and stuff like that. And so you never really know when you interact with somebody if, they can fight it as well as you. So we're just trying to be mindful of that as well.
I just know that, until we know more about, are the antibody tests accurate? What does it mean to have antibodies? Things like that. Until we actually know all that stuff, I just assume that I'm not going to, like, see my mom in person. Cause,
I don't think we've mentioned that on this channel yet.
No, we have. I've mentioned before. She has an autoimmune thing. So, like, I just wouldn't put her at risk. And not knowing what the, outcome is of all the other stuff and whether or not I've been exposed to anything, I wouldn't feel okay doing that.
So we're, like, very aware that there's a scenario that we're not going to see Derek's mom in person for
a while.
A long time.
All right, so Travel Best Destination is saying that I wish I had that much time to do a road trip too. Yeah. Hopefully things open up and we have an opportunity to actually do a road trip, but we'll see.
Yeah. We definitely are looking forward to, like, a longer road trip as long as we can swing it. I think a lot of people... I was just talking to my friend earlier today on FaceTime about how nobody that she works with... She works at a financial institution in New York City. She said absolutely nobody that she works with has taken any vacation days for the entire quarantine. And today... She was the first person in her entire department to take a vacation day. She just kind of took a mental health day because she was just like, I need it. And everybody was applauding her. They were like, thank you for doing this. We're probably going to end up doing it too. And I think that's going to be something where a lot of people are going to have a lot of banked up vacation days that haven't been used this spring. Like people that were supposed to go on spring break trips that didn't, that sort of thing. So there's going to be a little bit more time off this summer with Derek's situation included, that hopefully we can take a little bit longer of a break that maybe is very well deserved at this point.
Galvin and Gals is saying that Mexico would be fun. I agree. That would be really cool. And Lori is saying that Mexico is on her list of places to revisit.
Yeah.
I mean...
Us too.
Yeah, so we've like been to Mexico like a little bit, but we haven't really explored Mexico much, and we'd love to
actively looking into going to where Derek's family is from in Mexico with his grandfather in 2020.
I hope they're not watching this. That was going to be a surprise, but
they're not. First of all,
don't tell them.
But
they pop up. We're here.
They're like. That would be really funny. But they're not. Guys. So Derek's grandfather was born in Mexico, and really, really wanted to go back. So it had been a great trip. We were looking into how to make that happen.
Yeah.
So hopefully 2021 we can do that.
Yep, that would be cool. Bonnie, we are all in this together, apart.
But a partay.
we should have a partay. Nice.
I love it. This is our partay.
So Gallivanting Gals is asking Lori where she will go when she goes back. She is saying that Oaxaca is awesome, high in mountains, very mild weather, great culture with a lot of artisans. Cool. We'll have to check it out.
Love that. I also think that Oaxaca is known for its food, and it's been written up in a lot of, like, there was a whole article about Oaxaca in Afar last year, the magazine. It's just been, like, praised in the travel sphere lately for being a foodie city, so we would love to get there as well. That's not the place that we were looking at for this particular trip. We were looking at Michoacan, right? That area.
Well, Michoacan's where my family's from. So no, Michoacan is where they're from.
No, I meant we were sort of looking at that, but also kind of like adjacent.
So, yeah, I mean, we'd probably go to Michoacan a little bit, see some family, stuff like that. We'd probably try to spend the bulk of the time more in Mexico City, and then a few other of the more colonial towns. But that's still like very early stages of trying to figure it all out. Eric Brown is saying, I was planning another European trip in February 2021, but maybe I can move it to Australia or Singapore if available.
And February would be a good month to do that. Europe is still doable in February, but especially Northern Europe, you're not just dealing with cold weather, but you're likely dealing with rainy weather too. And coming from Louisiana, it's going to feel like a pretty big jump of temperatures. So if you were looking for a little bit more, and I guess a little bit better weather, that could be a good option.
Mark Finley is saying that the cheesecake was okay, not his best, but it had been 10 years since he made one.
Well, round of applause for doing that again, seriously. I'm sure it was delicious nonetheless. That's so cool you did a homemade cheesecake. I love that.
Yeah, so Gallivanting Gals is talking about renting cabins or whole houses as a way to maybe maintain some distance from people.
Smart.
And you might luck out in like renting things like that from like Airbnb or VRBO because some of those people are struggling.
So there was a really interesting, I don't know if I can call it an expose, but it was definitely like a news report,
more in-depth, yeah.
In-depth news report from CNBC this week on Airbnb. And it explored basically how Airbnb versus, for example, VRBO or any of their other competitors approached the coronavirus. You can find this on YouTube. Maybe I'll try to link this along with all the other things I'm linking from this live chat. But they talk about how Airbnb basically was saying, okay, if you have a booking between March and May, like you can get a refund. You're eligible for your refund. And it really put a lot of the Airbnb hosts in a very difficult situation. So a lot of the Airbnb hosts, because of that, are struggling a lot more. And so now, if they're going to be able to get bookings for the summer, they might be able to be, they might be very excited about this. And you can probably talk with them more directly because they have fewer guests right now and stuff like that, and make sure that you have the right host and somebody who's taking cleanliness very seriously. So I'm imagining there's going to be, at least in the immediate time frame, a lot more supply than demand in the short-term rental like Airbnb world. There could be some hosts that don't make it through, like they can't pay their mortgage or something like that. So that long term, I just based on the business model of the whole thing, I can kind of see it being a little bit more leaning towards the supply is like if you're renting a room in somebody's house versus an entire property. being more available. But well, only time will tell. So it'd be interesting. I bet there's going to be a lot of availability with cabins, at least in the next couple months.
Because Eliz took all the wine, I'm moving to a Truly.
The pineapple Truly is actually pretty good. I don't really.
It tastes like summer.
I don't really drink those things, but that one is okay.
Yummy. All right, so Thomas Reiser. First, Gallivanting Gals. Cheesecakes are my daughter's specialty. That's pretty cool.
Oh, awesome.
And Thomas Reiser is saying, Rush is best equipped to deal with it in Chicago. I'm assuming you're talking about the hospital.
To deal with the coronavirus?
I assume.
Oh, wow. We're so lucky in Chicago to have so many great hospital systems.
Gallivanting Gals is talking about checking out Oaxaca based on Lori Sims' recommendation, so very cool.
Yeah.
And Nick D is asking what the best cheesecake flavor is. To which...
What do you think?
Gallivanting Gals says, I'm a purist with blueberry topping, but my daughter makes an amazing Nutella cheesecake.
Dang.
That sounds pretty darn
good.
So I make a low-carb cheesecake that uses like Swerve, which is a type of sweetener, but has no calories and all that stuff. And that I do with like a little bit of a raspberry compote, which is very tasty.
Hello, Graham. You should go to sleep. But welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. Graham Shelswell's tuning in from England.
Hello, buddy.
And I saw that you were in your garden working outside this afternoon, so I know that you were working tonight.
We're going today. On a bender.
Yeah, you're on our bender, I think, right now. But welcome. And I'm so sorry, Derek, for interrupting, but I just saw this come through. He's asking what a Truly is.
Yeah, it's a hard seltzer. So Truly is one of these things that has like really taken off over the last like year, 2 years or so, which is basically low carb seltzers that have, I think it says 2 grams of carbs in it. Yeah.
So I guess an Alco Pop, as you say.
Maybe an Alco Pop. I don't know what an Alco Pop is. But yeah, no, this is it tastes like summer. It's delicious. But yeah, it's like 3 a.m. in England.
This one's pineapple flavor, and they have a bunch of different flavors. But this one, I wish you could smell it. It smells like the beach.
Yeah, it does.
It's so good.
It smells kind of like suntan lotion, but tastes way better than suntan lotion. So it tastes like what you wished suntan lotion tasted like if you ever accidentally sprayed it in your mouth.
I never wish it tasted like anything because I don't want it in my mouth. Silly goose.
Accidents happen.
He says, hey guys, actually went to sleep but woke up around 20 minutes ago and can't get back. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm so glad that you made it to bed at some point.
You know, you missed my camera talk earlier.
Oh yeah, Graham's a great...
Graham, that would have put you right to sleep.
If Eric Brown's still on, Graham might be able to weigh in on Nikon.
Eric Brown is on.
Yes, he is. So Graham's a really great photographer as well.
He does
I believe
Nikons.
Shoots Nikon, so you guys can chat about kind of affordable mid-range Nikon options. So we're backing up now. Sorry for jumping forward, but I got really excited.
So Gallivanting Gals is saying that her grandma is 98 and parents have some health issues. We are fine and haven't been out, but would hate to expose them to anything. And that really gets to like our biggest thing really, which is we don't want to be the cause for somebody else getting sick or spreading the illness to then their loved ones who might have an issue. So yeah, that's our big take on it. So Michelle is saying, since I'm teaching from home, I'm not really missing any days, so I will start next year with a nice amount of banked vacation days.
Awesome.
And that's really cool because
teachers
yeah. So you don't lose your day. Well, it depends on where you are.
Well, I know
based
your
on the school
dad, but
district.
he's not a teacher. But he banks
So
a
it's
lot
a
of
union
days.
thing. Yeah, so like my dad works for like school food service. He's part of like the administration and in Cincinnati. And so they can bank like a ton of days, and it's like pretty cool. Like where by the end of the year you get like so many days as you like accrue it over time, and some people get so many that I don't know if it's this way in Cincinnati. I think it might have been this way in Indianapolis, but like you can like actually get like a year's worth of vacation days and like just like use them all and get paid out as though you're working for a year, which is like pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Nick D says that his favorite is peanut butter cup cheesecake, and I would say that's probably one of my favorite cheesecakes. And you cut me off when I was trying to talk about it.
Go ahead.
My low carb one I make with like a crushed pecan crust, and I put a little bit of like crushed like Himalayan sea salt to give it like that salty sweet taste, and like melted butter, and like that's what makes the crust. Maybe a little bit of almond flour, but the topping that I like is I make like a little bit like of a raspberry compote that I put on top, which is really tasty. So, but
as you can tell, Derek is the baker chef in this household.
Eric Brown, Australia. I believe the weather is opposite, so February would be summer, I'm guessing.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so Mark is saying that Mark and Jocelyn of Walter's World fame are coming to Dallas-Fort Worth at some point, and April asked what desserts they like. Jocelyn said she likes cheesecake, so April asked if we could make one.
Yes, perfect.
That's awesome. We'll come down to Dallas-Fort Worth, and I also like cheesecake, April, so if you want to make some for me too, I would love it.
Yes.
Lori Sims, I travel solo, so not too worried about space. I always carry wipes and hit all hot spots in a room.
Smart.
Yeah, that's really smart.
So I have to admit, we hadn't been carrying wipes until COVID-19 became an outbreak. So we took them, a lot of them, to Amsterdam when we went in March. I had carried like a very small travel size pack of them to China, but that is the only other trip that we had ever taken before, and so this is going to be a big shift. I think a lot more people are going to be doing a lot more like sanitary stuff.
Yeah.
When traveling.
So to Travel and Tour, welcome guys.
Welcome to Travel and Tour.
So happy to have you here.
Me out.
Sorry, just saw that you joined us. Really happy to have you.
Oh, and Griswold Family Vacay.
And Griswold Family Vacay. Welcome. Hello.
Thanks everybody for hopping on. This is fun.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Gallivanting Gals is admitting something super dark, which is that they're not a big fan of peanut butter.
Oh, I'm not the hugest fan of peanut butter either. Derek is obsessed with it.
Blasphemer!
We're a house divided on that. Like, I won't not eat it, but like, I could go my entire life without it and probably not miss it either.
The single greatest dessert of all time is the Buckeye.
What's that?
For those of you, I failed as a husband.
What is a Buckeye?
No, so a Buckeye is basically magical goodness that you eat. But it's like a peanut butter. It's peanut butter and like Rice Krispie treats and like some powdered sugar and clump it into a ball and then you dip it in chocolate.
Oh.
And it's
so basically
delicious.
Like Nutella?
No.
Okay. Nutella is so much better than peanut butter.
How's that like Nutella?
I don't know, peanut butter and chocolate. It's kind of like
that's
hazelnut and chocolate. But Nutella is still better than peanut butter and chocolate. Derek disagrees with me so strongly. Like, Reese's is his favorite thing. So he's probably
I do like Nutella, but like, come on. Not the same. Uh-oh. What did I just do? Okay.
You jumped.
I jumped. Oh no, I did it now. Lori Sims is saying, try the mango. I assume you mean Truly.
Yeah, try the mango.
Which is very good. Okay.
We have that as part of our variety pack, I think, right?
I think so.
Stop double-clicking on
Nick
everything.
Nick D is saying that he visited Australia in September a few years ago. Typical spring weather. Nice most days, then one freezing day.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of freezing days, here in Chicago, it's supposed to dip to 31 degrees as a low tomorrow night, which is crazy. And Celsius-wise, that is like -1. Like it's right below freezing, and so we're worried about all of our herbs making it through. It's May. It's not supposed to be 31 degrees.
Yeah, I'm concerned about our like mint plants, whether or not those survive. We'll see. Blaine is pointing out that dang, it's like 3 a.m. in England.
I know, Graham is so sweet to join.
Yes, thank you for not sleeping and coming to say hi.
And he says truly sounds like his kind of stuff. Catch me up on the camera stuff. So I think probably Eric Brown and him can chat about it a little bit. But yeah. We were looking for some mid-range Nikon recommendations.
Yeah. So, Bonnie is saying that she just missed out on the trip to India. Still haven't taken a vacation this year. At work, everyone has so much vacation built up. Last year, booked an African safari for this September, and I'm hanging on to it.
That's so great.
I hope that you make it, Bonnie. I really do.
Yeah, and the India trip sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
That would have been a really good time to go as springtime, I bet.
Yeah.
Sorry,
we really want to make it to India. One of my best friends growing up is Indian, and we really want to make it there with him. And
he got to go to 2 weddings, like basically back to back in December and January this year, and he just like spontaneously invited us to go to one of them, and we're like, we can't just show up at somebody else's wedding, and he's like, yeah, you can.
It's like they won't even notice there's gonna be so many people there. I'm like, I think they'll tell that like we don't fit in.
They might notice us. I don't know. But no, he was like, no, they would love you guys. They would love you guys there. So we were thinking about it for a while, but we had some work conflicts.
Yeah. So Eric is saying, Truly, haha, I always see those and need to try one. So I actually didn't try Truly for a long time. I was always drinking White Claw. The main reason being that White Claw is from Chicago, and Truly is not.
Where is it from?
Truly from?
The pineapple one, though, specifically, because I've tried a lot of them, that one is just summer. I'm picky about that, so...
Yeah, so this is an affiliate of the Boston Beer Company, Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah. But the Truly is what's sold at Costco. We can't find White Claw at Costco, unfortunately. All right, so I think we've caught up to that. So we're here now.
Yeah. Okay.
So Eric Brown was saying to Nick, nice, I've wanted to go for years. Got to take at least 2 weeks off because it's so far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel the same way about Australia. Also, just because there's so much we want to see there. Because we want to go to all the major cities, but also do like more of the jungly areas, do the Great Barrier Reef. Ideally, I'd like to go to Tasmania too. So I kind of have a whole month-long itinerary basically across Australia. And then if you want to add New Zealand to it, it's like another month basically.
Yeah.
So
2 months in New Zealand and Australia, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So someday.
And if you have 2 months, what's another 14 days of quarantine? Why not? All right. So Blaine actually had a question that I apologize. We did miss it earlier. So thanks for asking it again, which is, what do we edit with?
So I have a MacBook Pro, and I edit with Final Cut Pro, but I've heard great things about Adobe. So if you have a PC, I would definitely go that route and just do all the tutorial, like consume all of the YouTube tutorials that you can, and just learn it that way.
Yeah, not only that, but Blaine, I mean, if you use, if you do photography on top of just video, right? So obviously, Adobe Premiere Pro, that's great for video and everything, but then if you do the whole Creative Cloud suite, which is kind of what you almost have to do now with Adobe, you get access to, Photoshop and Lightroom.
I actually use, through the Creative Cloud suite, an underrated app is Adobe
Spark,
and that's what I use for some of my animated Instagram stories too.
Yeah, so I mean, if you can do everything within the Adobe suite and kind of keep it all within that one ecosystem, I can see a bunch of value there. We actually have Adobe Creative Cloud because I use that for a lot of my photo editing now, and whatnot, and so I think that makes a lot of sense.
And Graham, I assume he's still awake, also does a lot of great editing within Adobe products, and he does a lot more layering of photos than Derek or I have attempted, but we get really technical when we're talking with him. You guys should definitely go check out. So I did an interview with Graham in March about what the coronavirus life looked like in England, and it's posted on my channel from like mid-March. In that interview, I linked to Graham's Instagram, which is just @GrahamShelswell, but he has just really, really great travel photography. So if you're interested in like European travel photography, and he's posted a lot from Florida and Mexico recently too, go check him out.
Yeah. And Two Traveling Tourists, and they use Filmora 9, and Gallivanting Gals is saying they use Premiere Pro, and answered for us that we use Final Cut, or you use. I don't do any video editing. Let's be honest.
I was like, when I first was starting out though, that was a huge question mark. So I'm hoping that you can I'm glad that you're crowdsourcing to hear what everybody's doing.
Yeah, no, and like if anyone wants to know like photography stuff, like I've started using Lightroom in the last couple of months. I hadn't really used Lightroom ever before that. I always use just like mobile apps and stuff for editing my photos previously. So I mean, there's a lot of different options out there, and like figuring out like what's the best for you can take some time. And I think that no matter what you choose, the idea is that you want to try to develop some sort of expertise within that product line that you do choose, and kind of get your workflow down pat, because if you can do that and like spend that time up front, you're going to become much more efficient in the long run, and be able to make your life just a bunch easier down the road. Try to figure out your workflow.
And now I like wouldn't veer from my workflow. Like it would just be so much more time to try something else, that I try to stay focused on the stuff that I know. Yeah.
So Griswold Family Vacay is saying our sick days as a teacher roll over with 10 added each year. Wow. Personal days expire though, so use them or lose it, but don't take your sick days if you can help it. It looks like.
And then personal days, I would imagine.
It's just like vacation time.
Yeah, no. Personal days usually is just like a small number. I'm assuming they're not the same as vacation days, but maybe I'm wrong with teachers. Because they were, when I used to work in an ad agency for a long time, they were separate things.
I assume they might be different for teachers.
Maybe, yeah.
To travel on tour, you're welcome.
What did they say?
They said you're welcome.
Oh, thanks for joining.
Blaine.
And also Kim from Two Traveling Tour is on separately too. So hi Kim, she's saying all cheesecake is good.
Yeah, so Blaine is saying that they're going to use either or. I'm assuming either Final Cut or Adobe. Yeah. But I think they've decided on Adobe, so that could be cool.
I heard that like most movies are edited in Adobe Premiere Pro.
There you go. And Blaine is saying that now he's really hungry. I don't know what we were talking about.
I think we were just talking about cheesecake. Probably.
Cheesecake's I mean, come on, cheesecake's so good. Nick D, I went for 2 weeks. Regret not staying longer, but choosing September was a good move since it's not tourist season.
And that's for Australia.
Yeah. Kim Yonker, welcome. How you doing? All cheesecake is good. I agree.
Totally.
So Michelle, retirement in California will pay for unused days. My district gives 10 days a year. This year I started with 29 days.
Wow.
Nice.
I think in Cincinnati school district it's the same, right? Yeah. Like
you basically get paid out for your days.
Yeah, like at retirement you kind of get paid out for your unused ones too.
Mark is saying, we'll make you all a cheesecake anytime. All right, we're coming, Mark.
You've got a cheesecake waiting for you in Dallas.
Going off keto, guys. I mean, all the carbs.
He's been on keto for like a day.
A day. Not even a day. Very cool. Yeah, so Gavin Gals is saying we always have wipes and sanitizer with us. That's good. That's one of those things where if you think about everybody's asking about like how is travel going to change? What's going to be
everyone's going to be more like gallivanting gals.
And honestly, I think a lot of people are going to take much more of an active role in their own safety and well-being, hopefully around like cleanliness and sanitation. Yeah. I can say that I never really like wiped down like plane seats and stuff like that before. Now I think I would be much more likely to actually do it, and especially in the near future.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
A lot of people are asking you questions, I'm seeing. We've finally scrolled down to catch up a little bit.
Galvan to Gals, only half of us don't like peanut butter. Trace loves it. Very cool.
There you go. Sounds like they're a house divided as well on that.
Yeah.
And also they're asking you about White Claw down there. So Derek found White Claw and Truly because of doing keto.
Yeah.
And they are very low carb options. So that's why he leans towards those a little bit more.
Those, or if I'm going for like a beer, I'll do like a Michelob Ultra. That's about as low carb of a beer as you can get. I'm not gonna lie, I had a Negra Modelo the other day, and it was like so delicious and tasted so good because all I had been drinking was Michelob Ultra, and I was like, oh my god, it's not good beer.
Oh my god, it's real beer.
Yeah, no, it's like it's nutty and good and like, oh my goodness. I think I told you that. I was like, I had forgotten that good beer tastes actually really good. So not that Michelob Ultra is not good, but like it's very different, right? So.
But that's what he drinks if he's trying to do low carb.
Yeah.
We're a little bit behind, so sorry. We're kind of catching up here.
All right, so Megan is saying you should try bourbon balls. Similar look to a Buckeye, but the filling is a buttery bourbon-flavored heaven. Write that one down.
Is this a Kentucky thing?
Bourbon balls. I'm going to try those.
I have so many notes from this live stream today.
It's going to be good.
Can we get them? So, if it is a Kentucky thing, I have a follow-up question. So when we go down to Cincinnati area, could we get it like in northern Kentucky, in that region as well? Because his parents live super close to the Kentucky border.
Yeah. So Ryan Donahue is asking, maybe the cold temps will kill off the murder hornets.
Right. So I started telling you about this, and you were like not listening.
Yeah.
But there are murder bees, like hornets now, as well. So it was like one of those things where it was like, if 2020 couldn't get any worse, now there's like hornets killing people.
Wow. Well, we can only hope, Ryan.
But yes, Ryan, I'm right there with you on that one.
Yeah, so Galvan and Gals is saying that a safari is next on their bucket list trip. And a safari would be huge. I would totally do a safari tomorrow if it was possible. But yeah, no, I mean, safaris are one of those, like, to me, like, once in a lifetime type opportunities that, like, when you do it, you have to do it, like, well. And I think we just need to, wait a little bit to do it well. But, it's definitely something we're going to do. All right, so Eric is telling Graham that he's looking.
Yeah, they're talking about cameras now. And then Graham responded.
Okay. So Bonnie is saying, solo traveler, germaphobe, travel with Sani wipes, but always felt guilty about the waste.
Bonnie,
it's
though, like,
be,
if you...
It's what makes you comfortable.
Yeah, if you feel the most... And now everyone's going to be doing that. I actually wish we'd been doing that. I always heard that, like, the remote control in a hotel room was the dirtiest thing ever, and...
Yeah, like, dirtier than the toilet.
It, and now it's, like, everything is going to feel dirty, so now I'm going to be, like, wiping down literally every inch of my hotel rooms moving forward. At least for the time being.
Yeah, so Graham is also recommending the mirrorless cameras.
Nikon came out with mirrorlesses like in 2017. It would have been like summer 2018, because it was right after we moved to Chicago.
Oh, that's right.
And it was like the Z series.
What are you saying, D50?
The D50 is a mirrorless too now? Oh wow. I wonder if the Z series is a little bit higher end mirrorless. Because those are the ones that were supposed to compete with like the really high end Sonys.
Interesting. Okay. Katie Smith, sounds like a sabbatical to Australia and New Zealand is needed.
Yeah,
I agree.
girl.
I think it is.
Let's all go. Although New Zealand doesn't want us now.
No, we're going to the UP.
Oh yeah, we're all going to the UP. And we're going to social distance while we're there.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, though, Eric, what I would say about the cameras is I guarantee that you can go on YouTube and you can look up, like side-by-side comparisons, and you can get pretty good kind of like rundowns on the pros and cons of like Sony, Nikon, Canon, mirrorless, etc. So you can kind of like see what fits you best based on like price point, performance, etc. Because there's a lot to think about with all that stuff. So
I'm just jumping real quick to Nick D's hilarious pun. Are there people on keto and keto? Rim shot, please. He said.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a swish. I'm pretty sure.
Nice. That's funny. Maybe we may never know.
There probably is at least one.
All right. So Blaine is saying though that he'll be using his wife's Mac that they purchased a couple months ago. She has a degree from Full Sail University.
Great.
Hey, we know Full Sail. We actually have a friend.
We have a family
friend who recorded an album at Full Sail University, which is awesome.
Yeah.
All thumbnails and edits you see will be all her. LOL. Very cool.
Awesome. That's nice to have somebody who's editing. I do almost everything, so I kind of wish I had a little bit of a tag team approach to it.
Yeah, so Galvant and Gals is saying that they just did an interview on their channel with some folks from New Zealand, and it sounds like they have the COVID-19 pretty well contained on there.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing, and I'll have to check out that interview because I hadn't seen that yet, so I'm really glad that you guys mentioned that. But
if anybody here wants to do an interview, she'll interview you.
Sometimes Malcolm Hogan joins this live stream from New Zealand, and it's always fun to have him on because
it's fun to have you all here too.
It's fun to have everybody on, all of our friends, all of these people.
But when Malcolm's on, it's always
perspective of what's happening over there.
It's always funny because we're always like, "What time is it?" Like it's, how many hours do we need to add?
Right.
Which is a lot of fun. So Bonnie is saying eco travel is a big topic right now. How do you answer to people who try to shame you for traveling?
Actually, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So I get it, I think, even more than a lot of people maybe do.
But here's the question. When you say shame you for travel, I guess the question is because it's not green?
Yeah, and like the carbon emission, for example. Okay. Like your carbon footprint last year, Derek, was massive.
Yeah. No, I had a huge one.
Yeah. But my family, I have relatives that
I would like to say that my company had a very large carbon footprint.
Yeah, but you yourself did too. And so did I. But my carbon footprint, because I fly standby, is very difficult to offset in comparison to somebody like Derek who pays, a full price ticket. So what I've struggled with as a standby traveler is figuring out what even my offset cost would be, because technically I'm filling a seat that would have gone empty. So it's kind of just like my weight plus my bag's weight on the plane versus like the money element.
Because the flight would take off regardless of whether or not she was on it.
Right. And so there's literally no carbon calculator that like answers to somebody who travels the way that I do. So I've really struggled with that question mark. And like I was trying to say before, when Derek was talking too, I have family who are really actively involved in like the environmental data space. I have family that like own an environmental data company, for example. And so it's something that is probably talked about within our immediate circle a little bit more than a lot of travelers experience. So it's on our minds. It's just hard to really pinpoint exactly how to make up for it.
Malcolm is here, by the way.
Malcolm's here?
Hey, Malcolm! Welcome!
Oh my goodness, welcome, Malcolm. Thank you so much.
Just got in from work. It's 2:40 p.m. Friday. Hi.
Happy Friday. Cheers to you.
Cheers. How is it in the future?
Yeah, and I remember you were saying you
cool.
just started work this month, so hopefully everything's going well now that you guys have reopened a lot.
Thank you for joining us. But what I was trying to get to, though, was that Travel Best Destinations is taking off. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
We really appreciate you
really awesome
stopping
to connect
by.
with you, and I am looking forward to scoping out your channel even more.
Yeah. All right, so this is what we were on. Okay. I think we might still be on Eco Travel.
I think I finished. If anybody wants to chat more about that, and if anyone has ideas for how to calculate Eliz's carbon footprint as a standby traveler, please tell me, because there is nothing online about that at all.
But going beyond carbon footprint and stuff, which is its own thing, eco travel. So what about eco tourism, right? So going
to an eco-friendly hotel.
Eco-friendly hotels, whether it's that or going to see the wildlife and things like that, where the money that you're paying is going to support the habitat and things like that. If you go to Rwanda and you want to go see the gorillas, it's extraordinarily expensive, but that money is going towards conservation work. So
as long
it's
as
for
you choose
a
the
good
right
cause.
Organizations and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
so it's a good cause. So I think there's a lot of pros to it, and I think that it makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of programs out there for people who have the flexibility and freedom to do things where you give back, where you go work on a farm, and that's you basically get room and board, and you work 5 days a week or something like that.
And
it's pretty cool.
It's certain completely eco-neutral hotels are unattainable to a lot of people. Just because they are a little bit pricier typically. That being said, there are things you can do, of course, at any hotel to make your stay a little bit better for the environment. A lot of hotels, I'm sure you guys, as active travelers like we are, have seen hotels talking about let us know if you don't want us to change your towels over every day, or if you don't want us to change your sheets over. Put the do not disturb sign on your door if you're going to be there for an extended stay or something like that. So that way the housekeeping doesn't come in and rotate those linens, because you'd be surprised what kind of energy usage just goes into changing out linens and washing them every day. So just the water usage in general, just being able to conserve water and conserve energy on that level is going to help out a hotel's level.
But then Lori, is making the point that she's proud to travel and support the country that she visits. Helping with local economy and stuff, and spending money, hiring guides, things like that, and helping people to lift themselves up. If you're going to a place that's maybe a developing country.
100%. And Lori, I love that philosophy too, and I just want to applaud you for that.
Yeah. So Graham is making a point about Lightroom and Photoshop, and talking about how the fact that Adobe Suite products all really integrate very well, which makes it very easy to go from Lightroom to Photoshop or Premiere Pro to Audition seamlessly. So that's pretty cool.
Amazing. And we missed Michelle saying that her son is a photographer and videographer and uses Premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that,
that was
a
nice.
lot of professional level people use Premiere.
Yeah. And the downside, according to Graham, which I agree, is it's all subscription based.
Yeah.
You can't just buy the product anymore. Yeah, that's really annoying. Nick D, keto in keto.
Yeah, I
know. Rim shot.
Graham
okay, let's
and
get
Eric
into
are talking about technical stuff, so we won't just say it out loud.
Yeah, so Bonnie is talking about, I've selected so many eco-friendly products to travel with. Did a presentation at work, reusable bottles, cotton pads, straws, etc.
So I'm curious, because you say cotton in quotes, so I'd love to, if you want to put it in here, direct message me if it doesn't allow links for some reason, what exactly you mean by that, because I am always on the lookout, especially because I do like review videos of travel products. If there's something that is more eco-friendly, please let me know. So reusable water bottles, though, that's a huge thing just for travel and for every day. So really cool that you're doing that. We live in a place, so California isn't allowing plastic straws anymore. And Chicago, I think several places in Chicago still are. So we're like kind of at that like mix right now in Chicago. Like some places still have plastic straws and some do not. Some have like the paper ones. So it's interesting where different.
Not gonna lie, I hate the paper straws. If
you don't drink your cold drink immediately, the paper straws get really soggy.
Now I will say,
the technology will improve in time.
Usually I like the more sustainable options. But we were in Utah, and there was like a bookstore that we're at in, not Provo. What's the place we went to?
We went to Provo, but
was it Provo?
Where
did we do the art fair?
Oh, Park City.
Park City. We're in Park City. I don't think I went to Provo. So we went to Park City, Utah, and we were there for like an art fair of the summertime. And there's this one bookstore that we went to grab like coffees. And they had two different setups for the straws. They had, I think it was like, you do nice or you do you. And like the you do nice was like the paper straws that like biodegrade, and you do you was plastic. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yeah, I'm taking a plastic
one.
Oh,
Derek.
But I don't like drinking out of straws that then like get holes in them, and then like you're like losing all the content.
They are an inferior user
product,
experience.
Yeah, I don't know. But more importantly, Michelle is asking, isn't red wine keto friendly?
It is.
Of the wines, it is one of the more keto friendly. I would say also, surprisingly, sake. Sake is actually pretty keto friendly. Yeah. Very, very low in carbs.
So
vodka,
certain
just
red
straight
wines
vodka.
are even more keto friendly than others, right?
Yeah, I mean, is like you want dry reds. But yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah.
Travel best destinations had to leave. We already talked about that. Keto kind of doesn't work with alcohol, according to Nick D. Even if it's low carb, you're still delaying ketosis as the alcohol has to process first. Good luck. Yeah, so Nick, that's true. I'd say that like when you're starting out in keto, I would try to stay away from alcohol. I actually really like fasting going into keto.
But you've also done it before. Because that's counter to what you were saying like hours ago when you were talking.
Yes. First time in, I wouldn't do that. Trying to figure out how your body reacts and stuff. Because what you don't want to have is like deal with all like the negative aspects of switching over from a carbohydrate heavy to a totally lack of carbohydrate diet, on top of feelings of hunger and things like that. So like you need to know your body and understand all that kind of stuff. I will say like trying to avoid alcohol though, regardless, when you're first getting into something like this is very smart, I think. You don't need to. You can still have like a drink and it's going to be okay. Like if you have 2 carbs from like a Truly, it's probably fine. Or a small glass of red wine with your dinner. Not probably gonna throw a massive wrecking ball, but I'd recommend trying to stay away from alcohol as much as possible.
Yep. Lots of people loving on Malcolm Hogan right now, and I love that.
Nice.
Saying hi to him. And Megan is saying that the bourbon balls are definitely a Kentucky thing, which I expected. She said she's sure you could get them in the Cincinnati area liquor stores or at chocolate stores. Totally. So we'll have to scope those out next time we're
there. Lots of Malcolm love.
Everybody loves Malcolm.
Yeah, Malcolm in the middle. So Galvin and Gals interview today. We'll post next week. I assume that's with the
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah, New Zealand.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then Eric Brown says at Eliz, Eliz. Wow, I can't even say my own name. Can you talk about your standby travel? So do you pay if there's no seat, or how do you get to travel standby? Yes, I can. So way earlier in the chat, my best friend Rachel Kubaki was on. I don't know if she's still on the chat or not, but she works for a U.S.-based airline. I never say what it is, but it's one that you guys all are very aware of. And so from that, she is able to give me access, kind of as a benefit from her employment, to fly standby. So unfortunately, it's not available to everyone. And the reason why even Derek was able to fly standby for his first time in March was because he was added as a buddy pass for her. And I actually have like a more permanent pass associated with that. So that's the bad news, is that not everybody kind of can have that access if you're not as connected with an employee. But the logistics behind it are actually, it varies per airline. So with this particular airline, I basically, for international travel, pay like the taxes. So I don't pay a fare, but I pay whatever the taxes are for the country. So for me, flying to the UK has the highest taxes, so I try to avoid that as much as possible. Flying to France or Amsterdam have slightly lower taxes, so like if I fly to France, to Charles de Gaulle from Chicago, it's usually like $160 round trip with taxes. Or if I fly to...
And that could be in like business class.
Yeah, I have access, like whatever seat's open. So I tend to try to opt for, and I'm able to kind of like, there's a system that I can use to see what seats are open. So I typically try to choose the flight options that give me
the best
chance for premium economy or first class. In the summertime, in normal years, I like never get first class to Europe because it's always full. But in like fall, winter, spring, it's a little bit more available. Domestically, I also can fly very, very affordably. So yeah, it's really an amazing benefit that I know won't last forever for me, but I'm just so grateful to Rachel for the opportunity to do that right now.
Yeah. Okay, so to Travel and Tour is saying, when it comes to traveling eco-friendly, I feel you should definitely do your fair share, but you have to stay realistic at the same time. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Malcolm is saying in New Zealand they have 21 deaths. 1,400 people have had the virus out of about a 5 million person population.
Yeah. So we live in Chicago, in Cook County, where there's probably about like 4 million population. In this county, the entire city of Chicago, like the metro area, has just under 10 million people. But the county, I think, has about 4, and we're a lot more than that. So you guys have been able to really quell that in a way that here in the U.S., unfortunately, we haven't been able to. So hopefully you guys can take a lot of solace in that.
He's saying being isolated at the bottom of the world has helped for once.
For once.
That's funny.
Yep.
Galvanting Gals is talking about how some hotels will give you extra points if you reuse your towels. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. Bar shops open next Wednesday, hopefully. That will be announced on Monday. So that's New Zealand from Malcolm.
That's great.
That's cool. To Travel and Tour, we try to reuse towels as much as we can, but we often find them exchanged regardless. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I probably found that before as well.
We've been in hotels, though, that we like want there's certain hotels where you kind of want your towels to be washed more often than others.
Well, especially if they don't tend to dry.
Yeah, like if
there's some hotels, especially in parts of Europe, I feel that like the towels, like maybe there's not like good air circulation in the bathrooms. It's like Vegas, they just like stand.
The bathrooms are really far from like windows and vents, I feel like, in Vegas hotels.
For a place that's so dry, you'd think things would dry pretty quickly. I don't know. But yeah, so Galvanting Gals agrees they can't stand cardboard straws. No. So thank you. I appreciate that. I feel very validated. You
want to like them, though? Like, I want to like them. But
yeah, and Lori is saying that in California, you can still get plastic straws everywhere.
Oh, really? That was not the case in Santa Monica when we went there.
Yeah, we were in Santa Monica. Like, good luck.
Maybe it's because they're Santa Monica.
Yeah, and Malcolm is pointing out that, you know, you should, rather than use a paper straw, you should just drink from the glass instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of straw talk, yeah. Thomas Reiser, I think the straw thing is city only.
Yeah.
True Travel and Tour, in Europe, drinking from the glass is the norm, generally speaking. They don't use straws a whole lot over there.
We've noticed that as well, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's like a cultural thing, where in the U.S., we not only have more straws, but we have more ice. Like, even if you get an iced drink in Europe, there's just more ice in the U.S.
Yeah, Malcolm's funny. He's saying beer is no good through a straw.
Well, that's true. I don't think in the U.S. they serve beer in straws, right? No, yeah. That's like the one cold beverage. Cider too, I guess, but like...
True Travel and Tour is funny. He's saying beer through a straw. Now that I call blasphemy.
That is blasphemy.
That is blasphemous. Nick D, when I was in LA last August, Jack in the Box gave me a plastic straw, no question asked. Lawbreakers. That's funny. Eric Brown, Jack in the Box, my favorite fast food spot.
It's pretty good.
I haven't been to a Jack in the Box, I think, ever.
I liked In-N-Out Burger too, though.
Yeah. All right, so Galvanting Gals, see ya if you've already left. Sorry we didn't see this sooner.
Probably sooner.
But we'll see you on Saturday and Monday.
Yeah, you guys are up late, so thank you for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. As always, you guys are amazing, amazing women.
Eric Brown is saying, now I'm trying to date a flight attendant.
No, really, you should.
Well, it doesn't even need to be a flight attendant. It could be somebody who works in corporate. It can be a pilot. It could be like whatever.
One of our other friends who's joined a few of these live streams works at corporate for one of the airlines. And they get the same benefits too.
Yeah. So, but it's, So, definitely, I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Bear through straw, blah, blah, blah.
Malcolm says, I know that I just jumped, but I have to say, because I don't know if he was here for the cat talk earlier, but he says he has 6 cats and his wife collects them. So Malcolm, I'm really disappointed to hear that since I'm allergic to cats. That means that I can't stop by and say hi at your house. But I like cats, and Derek loves cats.
We'll meet you for coffee in Christchurch. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Derek loves cats, by the way. And he's like very upset about my allergy.
Well, I was very upset because...
I used to not be allergic.
So I was staying with my brother. My brother's got 2 cats. And the 2 cats decided to actually like sleep on my bed with me while I was there. And I was like in 7th heaven. I was like, this is great.
I was not, by the way, I was not there.
No, she wasn't there.
This story.
All of a sudden I get woken up to one of the cats just biting the heck out of my arm. And I was like, what the... It
forgot.
Really woke me up. And the weirdest thing was like, he bit me like right at midnight, which is like also kind of bizarre. It's a black cat, bites me at midnight, and then like sprints under my bed. And then I'm like freaked out because this cat's underneath my bed. And I'm like, what if he attacks me again if I go to sleep? So I'm like turn on the lights, I like pull the cat out from underneath the bed, toss it out of the room with the other one, because the other one's super nice. Wrigley's the nicest freaking cat, and I had to put that one out as well so I can shut the door. And
why didn't you just keep Wrigley in there?
Because I had to shut the door.
You just wanted it to be fair.
Well, I didn't want the cat to pee on me.
Oh, is that a thing?
Well,
okay, sorry, I interrupted the story.
So yeah, so that happened to me. I love cats. Cats are great. I wish we had one.
Except for the weird midnight encounter.
Yeah, midnight. It just bit the hell out of my arm. So upsetting.
It's probably a full moon too, right?
I don't know. It's Halloween. Just kidding. Okay, so Nick D is saying they don't have them in my area. I think it's an acquired taste. Those tacos are odd. I think tacos? Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box has tacos? I didn't know that.
Wait.
No.
Eric Brown.
That can't be. Maybe it is.
Yeah, so Eric Brown said Jack in the Box is my favorite fast food spot. And Nick D is saying they don't have them in my area. I think they do. But maybe they have a taco as well. Who knows?
Maybe they're like one of the one-stop shop places.
Yeah, 6 cats. All right, that's funny. They have a taco box I had a couple weeks ago that's great. There's one right by my house.
This is new information to me.
There you
I
go.
definitely thought Jack in the Box was only a burger place, so I'm fascinated.
Yeah. So Bonnie is telling Gallivanting Gals that they have some hacks like baby face cloths. Cheap, reusable. Use them like paper towels or put them pre-moistened in a Ziploc for use as an alternative to disposable wipes, etc.
Nice.
That's cool. To travel on tour, what we like to use instead of plastic straws are the stainless steel ones that come with some travel mugs. Those are reusable.
Yeah, that's really smart. I've been wanting, there's like coffee stainless steel straws that you can order on Amazon that they have like a little, they're regular straws and then they kind of morph into a flat version. So you can put it kind of in between your teeth and it avoids getting your teeth stained and stuff, and it's good for hot coffee. So I actually asked for that for Christmas, but I didn't get one. Maybe next year.
Yeah, so...
And Thomas Reiser saying no refills in Europe either. Yeah, that's true.
To which Graham responds that really bugs him about Europe. In the UK, they charge for every glass of soda you drink. Love the free refills when I come to the United States.
Yeah. And even, like, there's certain places in Europe that you have to pay for just water. And that was annoying. The most foreign concept to me when I first was starting to travel.
I remember going to Belgium or...
Like, if the tap water is safe to drink,
yeah, well,
it was just...
The one in particular I think about is Bruges. We're in Bruges and we wanted to get just tap water. We're like, we know the water's safe to drink. We looked it up. And we tried to get tap water, and they're like, no, we don't serve tap water. You have to get a bottle of water.
You have to get a bottle of water, and it's €5.
Yeah, it's like €5. It could be €7.50.
Like, it was cheaper to get beer.
Yeah, the beer was cheaper. I'm like, why am I not drinking beer right now? Like, that's silly. But, whatever.
Yeah.
One in Belgium, I guess. And we're tourists. So Malcolm is saying, Eliz, look up Name Lynn for country music.
Yeah, we probably totally mispronounced. I feel like that name I've seen before. It might be an Irish name or something. But we'll have to, we're definitely needing some new music recommendations. And we love country, so we'll write that down. You know what? I'm writing down a lot of notes.
So Nick D is saying, I'm super allergic to cats, but I'd never give up my 2 cats. Allergy medicine works.
That's good.
Nice.
I don't think Rachel's still on, but she's also allergic to cats, and she got the shots. And she said that helped for a long time, too.
Yeah, it looks like Katie Smith took off. Bye, Katie.
Oh, bye,
Thanks
Kate.
for joining us.
It's so great to have you on. Thank you for joining for so long. We actually probably should take off soon, too. We've been live for a while, and it's been so fun just to talk to everybody.
Yeah. Thomas is talking about how he goes to the UK a couple times a year.
Awesome. Can I go too?
And Lori Sims says, cheap tacos at Jack in the Box, great late food run. Nice.
No way! How do I not know about the taco situation at Jack in the Box?
Yeah. Malcolm Hogan is asking about what is a fifth wheel. A fifth wheel, I think, is a type of RV that's like, I think, a bigger RV. I think. I don't know. Bonnie is allergic to cats. Love West Coast oysters.
Trex Arms.
I don't know what Trex Arms is.
I don't know what that is either.
But cool.
T-Rex Arms.
T-Rex Arms.
I just figured that out.
I'm like, Trex, I don't get it. Ryan Donahue, it's a type of trailer hitch, basically the same as a tractor trailer. Oh, cool. To Travel and Tour, Derek and Liz, did you know Amsterdam is known to have the cleanest tap water in the world?
I didn't know that. That's incredible. I know that in the U.S., New York City always brags about its tap water.
Well, they always talk about, like, that's why the pizza's so good.
Yeah, but they also just brag about it being, like, really good tap water, too. Just if you're drinking it out of the tap. I don't have any issues with Chicago's tap water, personally, but I'm sure we tried the tap water in Amsterdam when we were there in March.
Yeah.
But it's not standing out in my head. Maybe it's because it was so
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Malcolm is telling Ryan Donahue, thanks, could be what we call a jockey wheel. It's the fifth wheel. All right, so Lori Sim is saying, I drink the beer less water unless I'm in... I drink beer less than water unless I'm in Italy, where it flows from the street faucets.
Yeah, that makes sense, because Italy has those, like, fountains that you can fill up your water bottle in. And actually parts of France do, too. When I was in Lyon with my friend last fall, we would fill up our little water bottles in Paris or in Lyon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really nice when they have those just running in the streets, especially if you're there in the summertime and you're just hot and you need more water.
Nick D is saying that Jenny Lewis is fantastic for country-inspired pop music. Write it down.
You guys are giving me all the good recos. We'll have to report back.
Bonnie is saying that she's 5'1.5".
That's roughly how tall I am.
Interesting.
5 foot. I'm not 5'2". I can't claim it, but I'm slightly taller than 5'1".
Yeah. Thomas Reiser, I did as to me Chicago water tastes like swimming pool water.
Oh no. Maybe it's just because I grew up here.
Yeah. Well, I guess there is lead in the water, so I don't know. We need to do a test.
In certain places there are lead.
Yeah, and Megan Morris is saying that now she's regretting spending so much money on bottled water in Amsterdam. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we were drinking it in the hotel.
It's so like disconcerting when you land somewhere and you haven't looked up in advance if you can drink the water. And you're like,
yeah.
Oh shoot, I have to figure this out immediately.
Yeah, that can become like an emergency.
I think that happened to us when we went to South America. We just like didn't think about looking it up in advance, and then you said something like, "Oh no, it's okay with the water in Argentina," and we're like, "Phew."
Yeah. I think we looked that up like day 2. We're like,
no. We looked it up like right when we landed though.
I don't remember.
We hadn't thought about it.
That was a long time ago. But yeah, no, I mean, it's important to know that before you go somewhere because you want to be safe. I mean, like in China, right? Like nobody drinks tap water in China. Like you go to China and like everybody has like their big jugs. Yeah. Like if you go to somebody's like apartment, they're gonna have like a big jug of water and it has like the hot and the cold, like little tap thing. And that is just like a thing that they do in the big cities. And from what I understand, that's actually a part of why people like super hot tea as well, is because it was like part of, trying to get people to drink super hot tea was because they wanted people to boil the water so they'd be safe. Yeah. Which is interesting. But
yeah. Lori's saying that she reuses all of her plastic water bottles. That's so great of you. I'm so happy to hear that. And we try to use them as like ways, like almost like mini watering cans for some of our indoor plants and stuff too.
Yeah. So Thomas Streiser grew up down by Kankakee.
Kankakee.
Nice. To travel on tour at Megan Morris. I can imagine. I typically drink bottled water too, except when I'm in the Netherlands because it's so darn good.
Yeah.
I added the last part. Malcolm, RV.
That's surprising to hear you drink bottled water in the States, though.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Gotta get their Fiji.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Malcolm is saying that RV equals camper van in New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned that from you.
Camper van or maybe even caravan.
Or the other live chat.
That's another word. But it is getting late.
It's very late. We've been going for so long, you guys. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We were like, oh man, the weather's starting to get warmer. I wonder if everybody's going to keep joining. But we're so happy to keep hanging out with you all on Thursdays. It's
Thank
so
you
fun.
for spending your time with us. We really, really appreciate it. We look forward to these every week. And look forward to seeing everybody on the next... Either our live stream on Sunday.
Ryan, yes, we'll see you on Saturday morning.
Or if you're part of Walter's World, a patron or something like that, we'll see you on the Saturday live stream as well.
And on Wednesdays as well. We're trying to tune into all the live streams and say hi to you guys as much as we can.
Yeah. There's a lot of live streams out there, but we're trying to make it to all of them because it's fun to connect with new people.
So thank you all. We appreciate this friendship, this travel camaraderie so much during quarantine. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy and happy during this. You guys are certainly helping us stay happy. Just let us know if there's anything in particular you want to talk about on Sunday, but hopefully you guys can come back on Sunday. We're doing a quick one probably because of Mother's Day.
Yep.
And I think we'll probably try to keep it to like an hour. So hopefully we can see you back then. But like we said, thanks again. Hope everybody has a really great evening. Cheers.
Catch you later. Have a good one.
Bye.